This episode is a bit of a departure. I'm going to drop you into the middle of a Zoom call I was having with Charlie Garnham. She's a human design coach and marketing expert. And I had booked this call with her because she'd written to me about her experience with my space-time alchemy blends for human design, which she'd been trying out as one of my beta testers. I hit record on the call at one point because she had such nice things to say about the changes she was noticing. And then she wanted to know more about how I came to create these blends. And the whole thing turned into the episode of this podcast that I'd been meaning to do about my own work here with Bach Flowers and the world of human design. If you don't know anything about human design, you just go ahead and Google that. There are hundreds of websites. One of them is Charlie's. She's at charliegarnham.com. And you could also check out my interview with Rachel Lieberman on episode 29 of this podcast. Her website is called puregenerators.com. If you want to know more about what I'm up to with these alchemical blends, you can go to my website. That's tracypoizner.com and click on the shop page where you'll find all the info. And if you already know your human design energy type, you can order one of these blends and let it help you feel the power of being true to yourself, the power you take back when you're not trying to be someone else. And now here's Charlie. So excited that you had a good experience with this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It'd be great to know, like, what you're doing, taking this forward, and like how I can get my hand on more and everything, actually, if that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, um, what I'm doing is, reaching out to people like yourself who have some presence, some
Mm.
audience, um, let's say, who are using human design in the context of their coaching business or whatever kind of business, to let them know that that exists, to have them try it, and then hopefully to promote it among their, um, listeners or clients or whatever, to sell stuff. So there's an affiliate program
Hmm.
where you can have, like you get 10%, your client gets another 10%. So there's a discount coupon and then you're getting 10%. And, uh, at the moment, I only have these five
Yeah.
blends,
Hmm.
right? Um, there are a number of different ways that I can expand doing
Mm, of
this. We
course.
can get into
Hmm.
um, blends specifically for, for strategy, for authority type, for, whatever.
Yeah.
I can also get into, um, uh, I mean, since I've been using the Google Forms that you filled out a couple of times,
Yeah.
actually, what's really interesting to me is that your numbers were not spectacular, although you felt like you reported a huge result, but
Mm.
your numbers
Hmm.
were less drastic
Yeah,
than,
less. Mm.
I mean, I have quite a lot of people who are getting in the 70 and 80%
Okay.
shifts in like whatever
Mm.
were their top three, four, five things that were most significant for them. They're dropping down to, people who were eight, nine,
Yeah.
10 are coming back at like three, two,
Yeah.
um, and really across the board, it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Like virtually everyone has had an amazing result. There were a bunch of people, as to be
Great.
expected, in a random thing where it was free for anyone to sort of join up, right? There were some people who just fell off the wagon and forgot about it, never reported, or they took the
Okay.
blend and didn't report anything. And I haven't
Okay.
been uh, following up with them. But among the people who, you know, took it and did what they were supposed to do and reported, um, the results have been stunning. I'm really, really excited about it. So the
Yeah.
the most obvious next step for someone who has taken a blend would be to look back over their results
Mm.
and to see whether there are some things that are still in the 789 that didn't change,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or that sometimes uh like something has, I'm going to say, come up sort of new, like someone is newly aware of an aspect of their um energy type that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't obvious to them before, and it's become a thing now that some other things have cooled
Okay.
down. So like
Yeah.
it would be really easy for me to work then in a kind of more bespoke way to say like that this is now not for all projectors, but for you who
Okay.
have this issue that's not going away, then we dive just into that issue
Into
with a
that. Yeah.
blend that is just specifically for that purpose.
Okay.
I'm hoping
Love
that
that.
people who have a great result with this will say, oh my God, my husband needs to have this. My daughter needs it. I want my sister to have this. Like, I'm hoping that um, people will, refer other people.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, I'm completely open to hearing all your good ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think, when it comes to the numbers, and all the questions you ask projectors specifically. So for me, I had used the human design system for 5 years before
Yeah,
I started taking
yeah.
this. And I have taken my deconditioning journey very seriously. This is like a system that has changed my life considerably. And all of those questions you were asking are definitely things that, a couple of years ago, I would have been like 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Right. But because I have, just worked on that element and I've really used the human design system to come into my own unique self, I did feel as though some of the questions weren't as relevant to me anymore. Definitely relevant for projectors for sure. So yes, my numbers were not as, percentage wise change, but I myself have had the most incredible sort of like shifts in the last like 6 months or so. And it's gonna be like a couple of different things, right? Finally freaking just, being a 5-1, for example, like I went for years like really struggling with my profile, really struggling with understanding that. Just finally being recognized and invited, by, a number of different people. And funnily enough, I have also had some not so good things happen to me actually recently in my business. I've been uninvited from a few things. But it's like the resilience that I have built now. I've been able to somatically sort of like process, what has happened to me. But then I've kind of come out the other end of it. And when I say the other end, like 4 days later, and I've been like, okay, so that door's closed, but what is a huge, great big expansion thing that's going to happen to me now? And it has, like every single time a small door has closed, big expansion then ends up happening.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been the most fantastic couple of months for me personally, like abundance, resilience. I've had so many lessons that have like, sort of like pushed me in like certain directions. And the nervous system as well has just calmed itself down too, which I think is a big thing for projectors specifically. Like there's this thing out there in the world called highly sensitive people, and like a
Yeah.
lot of projectors end up, kind of really feeling like they're HSPs. And I think, this kind of medicine, this kind of thing that you get to like explore, I just feel as though that is like really helping, the nervous system as well. And projectors really need that.
Oh, that's so great. You had written to me about something that happened, like you went away on holiday and forgot to take it with you, or hadn't taken it or something. And
Mhm.
it, like you said, sort of despite everything, here I am on holiday. There's no stress. I'm in a beautiful location. I have nothing to worry about. And I
Yeah.
felt myself tanking, and you got home again and started to take it again. And it went, you got the same relief as the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like there was definitely there's been a couple of times where I've kind of forgotten to take it basically. I've forgotten to just like, I keep it on my desk and I just, pop it into my glass of water. And there's been a couple of, like maybe a week or so where I've just forgotten because it's out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. It's like when I clear up my desk, it's
Yeah.
gone. And I don't notice it until I then start taking it again. And then I'm like, ah, here we go. Things are happening.
It's very cool that way, and it's so interesting for me to talk to many people who are experiencing this all at once. I have about 40
Yeah.
people who have done this beta test with me.
Yeah.
So, talking to a lot of people in a short period of time who are having the same kind of experience, especially with the
Mm.
stopping and starting, or that I asked people to do it, for 4 or 5 weeks,
Yeah.
whatever, like the bottle lasts, whatever, about that long. And um, hearing from people who say that 3 or 4 weeks later, they're going, what happens if I start going back to the way I was before, and they take the remedy
Yeah.
again, the blend again, and it perks up again. And that's such a great well, it's a great way to know that it's really you're kind of validating for yourself that the thing is
Yeah.
doing that.
It's
But
yeah, it's doing
it's
something.
also that the change in you is I can't think of another word than organic, but like it's
Mm.
not like you wake up with, a third arm and say, where did that come from? It feels like you, like it feels
Yeah.
like you still, but you you couldn't really necessarily put your finger on what feels different, except that
Mm.
if it goes back again, then you go, oh wow, now I
Yeah.
remember. Which is why I had people doing those forms to fill it
Mm.
out because a few people, more than a few people, came back to me and said, I know that I rated that as an 8 or a 9 in the beginning. I
Yeah.
can't even relate to that anymore.
Wow.
So it's nice to be able to see it there. And I even asked
Yeah.
people I changed the form at one point to say, jot down something so that if anything that was over 6, like jot down a few words so you know what that was about. Because some people were saying, like, I can't believe that I was even thinking like that. Like, that
Mm.
doesn't make any sense to me anymore. And um, it's such a, it's a wonderful thing to be able to move along sort of
Yeah.
quickly in your process and then to have that elevated insight to apply then to the rest of your work, to not be struggling between sort of, let's say, step 1 and step 2 or step 2 and step 3. Like,
Mhm.
just get on with it and be able to now do the deeper, more rewarding part of the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think that it's unconscious. That's what it is. And like half of the human design system is unconscious as well, right? It's not even subconscious. So I feel like this is really speaking to the design side, the body side, because there's something that's changing within our molecular structure that is helping us awaken that design side of us. And this is why it's so important to have that conscious awareness, because without that, we're like, oh, I don't need that, or just, put it to one side.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, and I say this, about human design work, it's like every single day, the unconscious parts of your chart, the undefined parts of your chart, you almost need to work at them every single day. You know, like I have a completely undefined heart center. So every single day I have to work on my self-worth. I have to consciously remind myself that I'm worthy. And it's not in a bad way. It's just, stop. No, Charlie, you are worth,
Yeah.
this, right? And that will be for the rest of my life for sure. And it's the same with this. I feel like people need to just stop for a moment and then just go, yeah, okay, that has changed that. And it's the conscious awareness that will help you to really, yeah, understand this.
I love what you're saying because it is very much about the body and the nervous
Yeah.
system, the hormones, the
Mm.
neurotransmitters, right? Like it really is um helping you. You know, we talk about aligning, and it's so interesting because like I'm obsessed with geometry at the moment. Like not even,
Mm.
I mean, I guess we could call it sacred geometry, but I really feel very much that when we're talking about our, you know, energy bodies or the subtle bodies, I really think it's about a kind of geometric alignment.
Mm.
And this is these flower essences, I think, are just this exact kind of information that allows that geometric shift to happen so that
Yeah.
everything is aligned, and that everything that happens in your energy body is ultimately affecting you on the physical dense level. So through that sort of doorway, we really are making a shift on the molecular and the submolecular level. Well, let's say starting at the submolecular and moving up, but like it's affecting
Yeah.
your cells, right? It really is. I mean, it really is affecting the way your mitochondria produce energy for you. It's affecting the way your um, endocrine glands are producing hormones, right? Like they
Mm.
are real shifts in the physical body that let you they they let you live your design. You know, like if your body is the thing that's resisting,
Mhm.
and because like in your mind you can say, well, of course I know I have self-worth. I mean, I know my worth is not measured from outside. Like intellectually I know that, but each time you confront a trigger, like you said, it's um when you have an undefined heart, it's about how you're made, and so that's going to be a perpetual challenge. But what you
Yeah.
want is to have this kind of extra tool to bring your body along when it's not cooperating with what you want.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I love that. And like half of the issue that we have as human beings is we don't understand that actually the personality side of us is, different from the design side of us, and the perpetual fight within ourselves is always that fight between the personality and the body. And this is why I love human design, because it helps you to understand how they can marry together. And sometimes there are polarities or like opposites or things that, do fight against each other, but it's yeah, like human design can help you bridge that. And I think that this can really help you to soften that connection and really, yeah, like bridge the gap actually between it. So yeah, it's beautiful stuff. I feel like this is a podcast, by the way.
it kind of feels like it, doesn't it?
I know
It
it
might,
does.
we can just, I'm recording. It can be.
Yeah, it can be a podcast. I might just put it on my podcast if you don't mind. And just
Sure,
introduce you and then like put this
sure.
on, yeah. Oh dear. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about this. And I'm really happy that it's come together like this because this was I'll be honest, I had no well, to begin with, I had no special interest in Bach flowers. That's the truth. I mean, I've been a homeopath for
Wow.
30 years, but you know, I've
Yeah.
known about Bach flowers all that time. I learned about them 30 years ago when I was studying homeopathy, and I've used them from time to time, but they
Mm-hmm.
were not something that I particularly esteemed, like at all. I was kind of
Yeah.
it was kind of a beginner level of energy medicine for me that, you know, it's for
Right.
householders, it's for people to have at home. They're so easy to use. There's hardly any instructions. It just seemed like such a basic thing. And in my ignorance, I also thought that the fact that there were only 38 of them was a reflection
Mm.
of the fact that he had died quite young. He died at 50, Bach.
Okay.
And I thought, well, he surely would have expanded it more, you know? And it wasn't until
Yeah.
I started doing this deep research that I realized that he had experimented with over 2,000 flowers. And he chose these 38
Wow.
because they fulfilled I want to say grid, but it's not a grid. He said there are 38 emotional centers.
Okay.
in the brain, and
Mhm.
there is one flower for each one. He didn't give us any kind of a map or, what they are in particular, but um, there were 38 for a reason. And some of
Okay.
it is numerological. He was very much into that stuff. He was very
Mm.
much into astrology, although he decided not to leave any notes about that. And this was
Oh,
a
interesting.
completely intuition driven system where he had been all of his life. He was a famous doctor. He was a famous bacteriologist and researcher and inventor. And, he knew all about scientific method. He had, 20,000 case studies or whatever. I mean, he was a researcher in a very conventional
Wow.
way and just closed the door on it and went out into the woods. And this is a completely self driven or self-derived, let's say, or self in the sense of communion, with your higher
Hmm.
self, just direct personal experience. These are flowers that he tested on himself and on nobody else.
Wow.
And which is very much contrary to the way homeopathy works, which he's a very influential figure actually in homeopathy as well. But like traditional homeopathy. But
Hmm.
so anyway, at some moment, I had this download that I was supposed to put the archetypes of consciousness, which I had been studying very intensively, together with Bach flowers. And as I started to do that and realized how well they fit or whatever, I was doing this kind of expansion work, like personal growth work, spiritual
Yeah.
expansion, not so much about healing, although we can talk about what healing means. And on any level, you can say that, lifting something away that's blocking you from your next, iteration of yourself, we could call it healing, but not people who feel that they're in a deficit, in a problem kind of situation. It's
Hmm.
people who are interested in what's next, in opening the next
Yeah.
door. And the whole matching it with human design was complete, not an accident, but another kind of download that just came in a
Mm.
moment where I was, in a room with 50 people and wanting to connect with them and, leave them with something. And I just thought, oh, I'll make manifesting generator blend and I'll find all the manifesting generators in the room. And like people went nuts for it. They just loved it. And they started calling me up saying, could I get more of that? Like I've run out and I'm absolutely loving it. So that was how this was born. And then I thought, well, okay, now I need to know what it's doing. Like I need to test this in some sort of meaningful way.
Yeah.
Um, so I went out and found a bunch of people who were all the different types so that I could try it out. And it really is outperforming my wildest dreams. I thought if somebody
Mm.
could make 20 or 30% of progress in a month, like
Yeah.
that's a lot of progress, but it's coming out to more like 60, 70, 80%,
Wow.
which is like phenomenal. Um, and I think it's a way to reach it is a way to reach a huge number of people without me having to do a sort of personalized intake. And even for people who have been already working with me in a personalized way, they got a huge benefit that they hadn't seen before, because the human design typing is so deep, right? That just knowing your type brings me to a place I'm going to say as the prescriber, let's say, but where I
Hmm.
might not necessarily go with someone if we're just talking one to one. I'm not asking them for their birth date information or looking up their astrological chart or something. So it's a very deep level of
Yeah.
of knowledge about a person that lets us work on this place. And like truly, there were a couple of people that I've worked with for years who have studied Bach flowers with me, in my programs, who just say,
Yeah.
like, this is next level. This is not like anything I experienced before.
Just incredible, isn't it? Like, can't believe that. Like, I think I
I
said
can't
to you
believe it either.
before, like, how, who would have thought to put these two things together, right?
I,
It's just incredible.
it, literally, it just hit me like a ton of bricks because I was sitting in New York in this mastermind that I'd gone to for 3 days with
Hmm.
50 people who I'd never met before. And a lot of like, it was about networking really. And I was wanting to connect with them. And I had initially thought because the woman who was running it, who was Selena Sue, she had asked everyone for a bio and a photo and, your hobbies. I mean, trying to get people to know each other a little. And one of the things she asked was, what's your human design? What's your Enneagram? What's
Hmm.
your MBTI?
Yeah.
And so people had answered those questions, and I had I printed out all of that information and I had it with me. So at one point I'd flipped through and I thought I'll find all the manifesting generators like me and we'll go in a corner and take a selfie together. It will be
Yeah.
just a way of connecting with people. But as it happened, I had been meaning to do a workshop of my own in New York that was canceled. So I had a case of dropper bottles. Actually, they were spray bottles, as it happens, and I had a set of Bach flowers. So I was sitting in this room thinking, how am I going to get rid of these spray bottles? Like I can't bear to throw them in the garbage, but who wants a bunch of random, glass spray bottles? And suddenly it was like, I'll make the blends. So I made manifesting generator blend and gave it to the, 10 people there. Um, and then I did another one actually. I think I did ENFJ or something from the
Okay.
Myers-Briggs scale.
Yeah.
And the the that was how it happened. But what came next was the thing that really locked it in because as I handed them to people, people who previously had heard me talk about what I was doing with Bach flowers and sort of evolution of consciousness and personal growth. And they had said, oh, that sounds really interesting. And then I would give them this blend. And I said, I just made this blend for manifesting generators. And they were like, are you kidding? That's so fantastic. Oh my God, can't wait to try it. It completely resolved the question of what would this do for me? Like, why
Mm-hmm.
would I want to use this? What would I get from it?
Yeah.
And as soon as I said, this is a blend for projectors or this is a blend for
Mm.
generators, yeah, as long as you know your human design, of course, it doesn't mean anything otherwise. But when you know that you're a projector and this is a Bach flower blend for projectors, you're like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I'm all over this. I know exactly what this is
Yeah.
going to do for me. And then it does, right? And so and what you were saying about sort of the circumstances that come up around you, like
Hmm.
I'm hearing that over and over again. Like stuff is happening for me. I'm getting phone calls. The most amazing things are, like you really see the manifestation piece in action where it's not that you're,
Yeah.
writing your desires or making a vision board or something. Like when your personality and your design are working together, aligned, like the the energy around you is receptive to
Yeah.
those kind of positive circumstances and good synchronicities. It just happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I have been talking about something new within my work recently, actually, that has literally come up whilst I've been, taking this. And I'm calling it your sales aura. And
Ah,
it's not about sales, it's not about sales training or anything like that, but it is literally you being so convicted of who you are and what you do and who you sell to that your aura just oozes this confidence and people just can't help but to just move towards you. So that's the next step in my business. That was the downline that I had. That was on the Lionsgate portal that it's just like all came out, and I've just kind of been testing it and working with various people and things and everything, and it's just been it's next year is going to be amazing for me. It's all sorted, it's all planned out. So, and I think, this what you just said is literally just the epitome of, blending that, the design and the personality so well, and you know yourself so well that you can just be really, really confident in what you're saying.
yeah.
Because our nervous system has to be on board when we buy. So if our audience doesn't have a nervous system that's on board, then they're just going to feel the little bit of doubts, the little bit of fear, the little bit of, whatever it is that's like coming across in your aura.
Yeah.
And
So we want everybody to have this little bottle.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
want
we want
everybody
everybody
to
to
have
have this one.
it.
Definitely.
Well, it will be great to do that. And I have to say uh it's a little expensive to send it to Britain or to the UK, to Europe.
Hmm.
But it's totally doable. I mean, I got it to you. I have a few people in the UK.
Yeah.
I have
Hmm.
two in Australia, a few in Europe.
Yeah.
It's easier than sending to the US at the moment, I'm sorry to say. Like I can't
Wow.
send anything out of the country right now. There's so much paperwork because of all the tariff stuff
Oh, the tariffs,
to
yeah.
the US. It's
Um, if you fly into the US, is it then easier?
yes. Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you can physically take it in, but if you have to send it by post or by um courier, you need like a bill of lading. You need, and in order to get the bill of lading, you have to like I would need to have a commercial kitchen situation for
Oh my
producing these
goodness me.
things, and I need to have a registration number of my product with the Food and Drug Administration in the US and all that. Like, it's
God.
really difficult. So I have a colleague in the US who has a kit of
Okay.
flowers and is my uh, a colleague and a student, and she knows exactly what to do. So she has the recipes, and
Okay.
she has all the bottles and the labels and the boxes and everything. So she's doing mailing
Amazing.
for me
For the
within the
US.
US,
Okay.
and I'm doing
Mm,
Canada and the rest of the world. Um,
okay.
but it it is not that difficult. Um, yeah, it wasn't even that
Yeah.
expensive. I mean, it's 12 or 15 pounds maybe to
Yeah.
mail something to like it wasn't outrageous at any rate. It's just
Mm. Yeah, and I think the thing is with products like this is, like you said, you might want it for yourself, but then also you might just say, oh, I might as well just get one for, my spouse or my children or something like that. I mean, have we had children like test it? Because I would have thought this would be amazing for kids.
oh yeah, I'm sure it is. I haven't tested like the human design blend
Okay.
per se.
Mm.
And actually I had one person who really wanted it for her daughter. There is
Okay.
something so weirdly energetic going on because I've sent this woman 5 packages. I think she's received one. Like twice I managed to leave off the apartment number. Twice I did that
Oh my
myself. And
gosh.
once it came
Whoops.
back completely, it was returned to me broken in bits
Okay.
and pieces.
Oh
And once
no.
it was stopped, it was the first thing that I sent after the new tariff regulations came in. And
Yeah.
I thought that I had done, like I found the code that matched my product. I thought I had done all the
Hmm.
paperwork. No, you have to arrange with a broker in advance to broker the package. You have to pay the brokerage fee, you have to pay the duty, and you pay all of that in advance before it goes across the border. And so, after 6 or 8 weeks, it came back to me. And now, just most recently, my friend in the US mailed to her, and it's just lost. It was by UPS courier, and it's just never arrived. And
Oh
who's
my
got time? Like the
goodness.
tracking takes forever, like you
Yeah.
you have to wait on the phone to speak to someone. And so that's, that this is new for me, having a product-based part of my business. Of course,
Yeah,
I've been a
yeah.
service provider for 30 years, so whatever the trials and tribulations, but um
Mhm.
no, people are really, really enjoying it, and I'm happy about the the form that I had, like the self-assessment Google form, I think is a
Mm.
really important piece even going forward. I'm going to have people continue to do that because
Yeah.
you it's not everybody who stops taking it and says, oh, wait a minute, like you should be able to look back and say, yeah, now that I notice, like I'll also have, um, I'll do some sort of, what am I trying to say? That the results, like that they can get a percentage base, like what the difference is, to
Yes,
see this
that's a
is
great idea.
40, 50,
Mm,
60%, 62%, whatever, they can see the shift.
mm,
And
yeah.
I'm really happy about the releasing statements as well. I'm curious, did you
Yeah.
did you look at them? Did you use them or kind of just did the remedy?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't use the releasing statements actually. I just did the remedy.
That's good for me to know because
Yeah.
I was um uh I was a little bit nervous that
Okay.
like if we're talking about a sort of a strict what can I say? Like this is not really
Regime.
it's not a clinical trial or something, right? So, I mean, there is a possibility that the releasing statements by themselves could be very potent, and it
Hmm.
could have nothing to do with the remedy, but that people who are doing a process with these releasing statements could be getting a huge level of change on their own. But
Yeah.
I have you and one other person so far who said, yeah, I didn't really use them, but I got a great result from the blend. So that's
Ah,
great.
okay.
um because there could be, I could do another whole wing of this with the complete placebo drops and just the releasing statements, right?
It's a good idea,
But
actually.
i'm
Yeah.
I'm sort of not, I'm not so interested in that. I just want the maximum benefit to come as quickly as possible.
Mm,
And I think
yeah.
that they work really synergistically. Like I think that the releasing statements help you to just like light up that frequency that is distorted
Okay.
by personality, by limiting beliefs, by thought patterns or whatever. And when
Mm,
you read the releasing statement and it sort of goes, "Ooh, ouch, that's me," it's kind of um, running some juice through that part of the system. And then the blend
yeah.
just knows, right, it has somewhere to focus, it knows where to go. Um,
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I understand that. I'm just gonna have a look actually and just to see what they are. For me, the ones that you sent over. Okay. This blend is for the resentment I feel when my contribution is not appreciated. Yeah. My tendency to say yes, even when I know it's probably going to drain me. Yeah, I mean that's always a big one for projectors for sure.
mm.
Although I must say, I'm guessing you've got that on for quite a few types
Yeah,
because
there's,
manigens are very like yes, 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 yes,
yes,
yes.
yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, all the ways I don't trust myself to do a good job. My instinct to emotionally withdraw when I feel unrecognized or invited. Yeah, that one actually, the instinct to emotionally withdraw. That one's a little one for me where I feel like that's something just like a percentage I need to do a little bit more healing work on, I think.
Mm.
Because I'm very much like, oh, that person over there doesn't recognize me. I'm just gonna go away, over here. And I don't know whether it's an emotional withdrawal. It's just literally like me turning away and focusing on something over
Yeah.
there. And yeah. And because I know from experience that if someone truly does not recognize me, they won't ever. So
And
there's no point in pushing.
there's a piece of um sovereignty in accepting that other people get to be who they are, and
Yeah,
that your job is not to manipulate someone out of their own authority or whatever into be
exactly.
behaving in a way that assuages your shadow. Like that's not, it's not anybody's job to recognize you. It's
Yeah.
it's your job to be who you are regardless of the external feedback that you're getting. And
Hmm.
that's where all of the sort of growing up happens, where you can be you without a need for an external validation that gives you permission to validate yourself, right? It's
Yeah.
the thing from outside is what gives you permission to feel okay, and that
Hmm.
is ridiculous. So, um, that's where we have this like next level of
Yeah.
growth of saying, that person gets to be an asshole. Actually,
Yeah.
like that's their journey. Maybe it's in their design or not or whatever. It's none of my business, but they get to be whoever they are, and they don't owe me some special kind of behavior that makes me feel better inside. I
Yeah,
am in charge of how I
exactly.
feel inside. And every time I'm looking to something outside of me, um, to sort of gauge or scale or permit me to have some kind of feeling that I want to have, like that is an illusion.
Hmm.
And people have a hard time with that, especially around like I'm I'm working on a book that is very much about the importance of selfishness and how what a bad rap selfishness
Yeah.
gets,
I love that. Absolutely love
because
that.
uh the idea that um of um sort of thinking of others before yourself or whatever is counterintuitively takes you out of your power
Mm.
completely. And that when you
Yeah.
are completely sovereign in and of yourself, it is your nature to be generous and caring and empathetic and compassionate. That is your true nature. And it is just blocked by,
Yeah.
certain unfulfilled needs or however conditioning that keeps you
Hmm.
away from your true nature. And this idea that, um, people are bad for being selfish. It's like, yeah, no, like they are struggling with something. And also, um, it's like nobody, I don't know how to say it. It sounds so opposite of how I always would have thought all my life. That
Yeah.
like, yes, of course, you're supposed to be selfless and think of others and it keeps you in this small plane of impact. That
Yeah. It
anybody who
does.
really wants to make a big, big impact has to get over that idea that um that can happen in any other way than being completely 100% true to yourself, no matter what.
Yeah.
And um and
Amazing.
that it's like we spy on each other, of like if you get too close to that, somebody's going to cut you down and say that's selfish. She's a selfish
Hmm.
person. And then it hurts and we get drawn back down into, okay, maybe I better just like give out my few pennies here, whatever I have to offer. I better just keep behaving in the way that other people approve of instead of the millions of dollars that are waiting for me to shower, by
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
this uh conditioning police or whatever who say, no, you're not allowed to wait. You're giving up your conditioning. No, no, let me cut you down because like,
Yeah.
why should you do it if I don't get to do it? And it's
Yeah,
really,
you're right.
there's this layer of jealousy. Like we're kind of jealous of other people who don't have that pang that makes them,
Mm.
like, why do you get to be selfish and I don't get to be? Like, I beat myself up about it and you don't. And that doesn't seem fair,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Oh gosh. Have you got gate 27 in a prominent position in your chart?
I
Can you
don't know them
remember?
off by heart.
Okay.
I mean, I can send you a message and tell you. I know that I
Okay.
have the 14-2, whatever that one's called, that
Okay. Yeah, gate of power skills. I'm only
the
wondering
beat. That's what I'm thinking
because
of. It's the beat. Am I right about the
oh, is
numbers?
in the channel
Oh, the
14-2.
channel
Okay.
14-2.
It's either fifth. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is because it's 15-5, 14-2. Yeah, you've got the channel of the beat. Is that the only channel you've got?
No, I have 10. I have 10 um closed things, which everybody
Okay.
tells me they never saw one with so many. So,
Oh my gosh. Okay. Only reason why I'm asking about gate 27. So I've actually got that very prominently in my chart. And it's the gate of the nurturer, but in the gene keys, the shadow is selfishness. So
Ah,
I just wondered whether
oh
your
yeah.
wisdom
Okay, I'm
around
gonna look
this
now.
is all around, the fact that you understand what selfishness is and you understand how actually selfishness can be a higher power rather than just a bad thing.
Yeah, a flaw
Um,
in some way.
a flaw, yeah. And I call myself selfish, but not in a, but because I also have that. Is it called the gate of the nurturer?
Ah,
So I am very nurturing, but I'm also very selfish. It's like it's a strange,
that's great. That sounds great.
yeah.
I can't tell you how many people I talk to about this who get as far as understanding, like, okay, I get it. I have to, you know, uh, I have to be selfish and take care of myself in order to elevate myself so that I can help other people. I'm like,
Mm.
yeah, no. Like you're just rationalizing that you only get to do it if it is ultimately for other people. I mean, the fact is it
Yeah.
is ultimately for other people, but you can't get stuck there or you don't get there. You have to
Hmm.
be okay with it being only for you.
Yeah.
And this is something else when we were just talking about like amazing downloads that have come through this process. I had a doozy last week because I had scheduled myself to give a talk on LinkedIn exactly about this, about selfishness.
Yeah.
And in the morning, I was trying to do some kind of like visual diagram. And I've used for years, I used that Maslow pyramid of hierarchy of needs, you know?
Yeah,
And
I know that one. Yeah.
it's a great diagram and I loved it. And I always used to say like the bottom portion of the pyramid is all shadow needs and only
Yeah.
self-actualization at the top is the power piece. Only since I learned, which I didn't know at the beginning, that Maslow had added self-transcendence to be a further,
Ah.
um, the highest bit of the pyramid. He
Hmm.
never made a pyramid, right? The triangle design came from someone else. He made the
Okay.
hierarchy, but he never designed
Right.
a geometry for it. And I thought the pyramid is wrong now. You can't put self-transcendence, which is the biggest, hugest opening,
But it's
right,
the
in the tiniest part of the pyramid. Like, so I
yeah.
stopped using that diagram and I was kind of sad because it had always been an important part of how I was teaching.
Mhm.
And I suddenly got this vision of another pyramid upside down on top that starts with
That's what I was
self-transcendence.
thinking. Yeah.
And and then it opens up into like unity consciousness. So at the bottom you have it's like all sort of ego needs and
Hmm.
very dense sort of consciousness. And then if self-actualization is the top of the lower pyramid for just to describe it and then this inverse one starts with self-transcendence and in the middle at what would be called the 0 point is the self. And
Yeah.
now I see where it belongs. And it just gave me a context for everything that I'm talking about and everything that I'm teaching. And it was like, I get it now. Like, yes, you have to pass through the self to get there. You have to. And there is no way around that. And what I had been talking a lot about was like first person perspective that
Okay.
you know, we have we come into the world with a first person perspective and we leave with it. There is no other way to arrange your consciousness to have a second person perspective. Even someone who calls themselves an empath, that they're
Yeah.
picking up on other people's feelings. You are picking up other people's energy 100%, but the feelings are your feelings. You are not feeling the same as what someone else is feeling. It is impossible because someone can't communicate exactly what they're feeling. You can believe that that's the case, but the feelings
Yeah.
are yours and it's all of your physicality, it's all of your conditioning, it's all of your history, it's all of your heredity, it's your DNA, it's your
Yeah.
sensations that
Hmm.
are being influenced by someone else's energy. Okay, but they belong to you. So we cannot adopt a second person viewpoint of reality. But every religion, all the Western religions anyway, have been trying to shoehorn us into this idea of thinking through see through the eyes of someone else, to have this compassion.
Mhm.
Um and it's like it's a necessary phase of development that we have to teach children the same thing, to have, that they learn how to use their senses and whatever in the world. Um but you have to get past the sort of fairy tale of it and realize that it's a metaphor for behaving in a decent way. But the reality is
Yeah.
that you cannot ever see anything through anyone else's eyes. And for us
Mm.
to give ourselves permission to go through this 0 point of self where everything is so about you that nothing else exists, in order
Yeah.
to transcend the self. Like, that's the journey. Is not You're not meant to stay there in that little place. You're meant to get beyond the self, which means into the place where there is no individuated self and you're part of everything. And if you want to experience that, you have to let go of this myth um, of selflessness being
Hmm.
the portal to that, because it's not. It's the trap. It's a
Yeah.
trap. And so that was
Totally.
my big download of the last week,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
from from doing these
From
blends and
doing
just
that.
being in that space.
Yeah. Amazing. I can't wait to read that book actually. That's going to be a
Thank
good
you.
one.
I have to. I'm just kind of feeling like I need to devote a few weeks to,
Hmm.
I mean, I write every day, but I need to make it a priority and just
Yeah.
kind of let go of some of my
Hmm.
other stuff, because if there were two of me, we would be busy all the time. And I'm just, I refuse to pedal any harder than I want to in any given day. And it's just, stuff
Yeah.
doesn't get done, and whatever, it has to be okay. I just have to reorder my priorities.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. What a
This was
lovely chat.
It was a lovely chat indeed. I don't know, this will probably end up on both of our podcasts, but that will
I
be fun.
know. That's what I'm
Th-
thinking as well.
this
It's
would be
just
great. This will be
yeah,
great.
just so authentic actually. So yeah, I love it.
Well, thanks for this.